You have heard that sound hundreds of times. A deep, slow exhale right as your dog curls up beside your feet. Maybe you thought it was just exhaustion after a day of running around, or simply them preparing for sleep. But actually that moment contains a much deeper meaning than you might realize. That sigh is the sound of absolute peace. It is the moment their body exits alert mode, muscle groups relax, and they tell themselves that the world outside no longer matters because they are beside their protector. And that is just one of 8 silent compliments your dog gives you every day. These are things that if we do not pay attention, we will miss forever. Today we are going to decode the secret language of canine affection that happens right under our noses. The science of canine communication. Before we dive into these 8 incredible signs, I want you to understand something profound about dog psychology. Unlike any other species on Earth, dogs have evolved specifically to communicate with humans. They have developed a sophisticated system of body language vocalizations and behavioral cues designed entirely around us. What makes this even more remarkable is that these behaviors are not learned tricks or trained responses. They are hardwired into their DNA after thousands of years of evolution alongside humans. Every single gesture we are about to explore represents millions of years of genetic programming focused on one goal. That goal is building the strongest possible bond with you, their chosen human. So when your dog displays these behaviors, they are not just being cute or seeking attention. They are expressing the deepest form of trust and affection that exists in the animal kingdom. Sign number 1, the arrival sigh. Let me paint you a picture of what really happens when your dog settles beside you with that familiar exhale. Throughout their day, dogs operate in what scientists call satellite mode. Their ears are constantly rotating, scanning for sounds. Their muscles are partially tensed, ready to react to any potential threat or opportunity. But when they choose to lie down next to you, something magical happens in their nervous system. Their breathing deepens, their heart rate decreases, and their cortisol levels drop significantly. That sigh you hear is not just air leaving their lungs, it is the audible release of all their vigilance and worry. This behavior is so specific to trusted humans that researchers have documented it extensively in bonding studies. Dogs will not exhibit this same relaxation response with strangers, other dogs, or even familiar humans they do not fully trust. When your dog sighs beside you, they are saying, "You are my safe harbor in an uncertain world." Sign number 2, the head tilt of concentration. We have all seen our dogs tilt their heads when we speak to them, and most people think this gesture indicates confusion or curiosity. The reality is far more touching than that. Recent neurological studies using brain imaging technology have revealed what actually happens during the head tilt moment. When your dog tilts their head while you speak, they are engaging in intense cognitive processing. They are attempting to match the sounds you are making with their existing vocabulary database, which can contain anywhere from 150 to over 300 words for highly trained dogs. The head tilt occurs most frequently when dogs hear words they recognize but are trying to understand the context or your emotional tone. Research from the University of British Columbia found that dogs who knew toy names tilted their heads 43% of the time when hearing requests. This means your dog is working incredibly hard to understand you because your communication matters deeply to them. Every head tilt is their way of saying, "I am listening with my entire being because what you say is important to me." Sign number 3, the full body lean. Have you ever noticed how your dog will sometimes press their entire body weight against your legs or side? This behavior, which animal behaviorists call the lean, is one of the most deliberate displays of affection in the canine repertoire. Unlike a simple touch or brief contact, the lean requires your dog to commit their full body to the interaction. What makes this behavior especially meaningful is the neurochemical response it triggers. When dogs engage in prolonged physical contact with their preferred humans, both species experience a surge of oxytocin, often called the love hormone. This is the same chemical released during human hugging, parent-child bonding, and romantic relationships. Studies have shown that dogs initiate the lean behavior most frequently with the family member they consider their primary attachment figure. It is not random affection, it is a deliberate choice to activate the bonding chemistry with their most important person. When your dog leans into you, they are saying, "I belong here with you, and nowhere else feels like home." Sign number 4, your scent lights up their brain. This next sign might surprise you because it involves something you cannot even observe directly. Advanced MRI studies conducted on conscious dogs have revealed something extraordinary about how their brains respond to human scents. When dogs smell their owner's clothing or personal items, specific regions of their brain activate in ways that do not occur with any other stimulus. The caudate nucleus, which is the brain's reward center, shows more activity when dogs smell their owner than when they smell food treats or even other dogs. This means that neurologically speaking, your scent is more rewarding to your dog than their favorite meal. Think about the implications of that for a moment because it reveals something profound about their priorities. Your dog's sense of smell is between 10,000 and 100,000 times stronger than yours, which means they are constantly surrounded by a complex symphony of scents. Yet out of all the smells available to them, your personal scent triggers the strongest positive response in their brain. This is their way of saying you smell like home, like safety, like everything good in their world wrapped into one comforting presence. Sign number 5. Using your face as an emotional compass. Dogs engage in something called social referencing, which means they look to trusted individuals for cues about how to respond to uncertain situations. What researchers have discovered is that dogs look to human faces for emotional guidance significantly more than they reference other dogs, even in multi-dog households. This behavior demonstrates a level of trust that goes beyond simple companionship. Studies show that 83% of dogs will look at their owner's face when encountering something unfamiliar or potentially concerning. They read your facial expressions, body language, and vocal tone to determine whether they should be excited, cautious, or relaxed about new experiences. This process happens almost instantaneously and influences their entire behavioral response to novel situations. This behavior demonstrates incredible trust because your dog is essentially saying your judgment is more important to me than my own instincts. They have chosen to override millions of years of evolutionary programming and instead rely on your emotional assessment of the world around them. When your dog looks to your face for guidance, they are declaring, "You are my leader, my teacher, and my source of wisdom about how the world works." Sign number 6. Restless sleep without you. Sleep studies conducted on dogs have revealed fascinating differences in their sleep patterns, depending on whether their preferred human is present. When dogs sleep alone, their sleep cycles are shorter, they experience more frequent wake periods, and they spend less time in the deep sleep phases that are crucial for mental and physical recovery. This restlessness is not just about missing companionship, but about fundamental neurological security. However, when sleeping in the same room as their bonded human dogs show dramatically improved sleep quality. Their REM cycles lengthen, they wake less frequently, and they achieve deeper levels of rest that allow for proper brain function and emotional regulation. This suggests that your presence does not just make them feel secure, it actually allows their nervous system to fully relax. The implications go beyond simple comfort because poor sleep quality affects immune function, memory consolidation, and emotional regulation in dogs just as it does in humans. When your dog chooses to sleep near you, they are prioritizing the quality of their rest and recovery, which means they trust you to keep watch while they are at their most vulnerable. This is their way of saying, "I can let my guard down completely because I know you will protect me." Sign number 7. The oxytocin gaze loop. Eye contact between humans and dogs creates something that does not exist anywhere else in the animal kingdom. When you and your dog look into each other's eyes, both of your bodies release oxytocin, simultaneously creating what scientists call a positive feedback loop of bonding chemistry. This mutual release strengthens the emotional connection between you with every shared gaze. This mutual gaze response is so unique that it does not occur between dogs and wolves, or even between wolves and humans. It appears to be an evolutionary adaptation that developed specifically for the human-dog relationship over thousands of years of cohabitation. The longer the eye contact lasts, the more oxytocin is released, strengthening the emotional bond between you in real time. What makes this even more remarkable is that dogs will seek out this eye contact deliberately without any training or encouragement. They will position themselves where they can see your face, and they will maintain gaze even when there is no obvious reward involved. This purposeful eye contact is your dog's way of saying, "I want to feel connected to you right now, and I am actively choosing to strengthen our bond through this moment of mutual attention." Sign number 8. Intentional communication attempts. The final sign involves your dog's deliberate attempts to communicate complex ideas to you using only body language and behavior. Researchers have identified at least 19 distinct gestures that dogs use specifically when trying to communicate with humans, including bringing objects alternating gaze between you and desired items, gentle, nudging, and strategic. Positioning. These are not random behaviors, but calculated attempts at cross-species conversation. What makes these behaviors particularly impressive is their persistence and adaptability when initial communication fails. If their first attempt at communication does not succeed, dogs will modify their approach, try different gestures, or increase the intensity of their signals. This shows they understand that communication is a two-way process requiring adjustment, patience, and creative problem-solving. The most touching aspect of this behavior is that dogs will continue these communication attempts even when success is uncertain. They keep trying to build sentences with actions because they cannot use words, demonstrating incredible faith in the relationship. Every gesture represents their belief that eventually you will understand what they are trying to tell you, and that the effort to communicate is worthwhile because you are worth the effort. The deeper meaning and conclusion. Dogs cannot write the word love, and they cannot speak their emotions when they see you walk through the door after a long day. But through a sigh, a leaner gaze, or a distant look from across the room, they have told you that thousands of times throughout your relationship. Understanding these signals changes everything about how we interpret our dog's daily behavior and transforms ordinary moments into profound declarations of affection. These 8 signs represent the most honest form of compliment any human can receive because they come without agenda or expectation. They are not based on what you can provide, what you have accomplished, or how you compare to others. They are based purely on who you are to your dog in their most authentic, unguarded moments when social pretense is impossible. The next time you see your dog doing something that seems random, quirky, or just typically dog-like, pause for a moment and consider the deeper meaning. They might be trying to tell you that you are their entire world, their source of safety and joy, and they have been saying it all along through their own beautiful, silent language of devotion.